Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of A Gardener's Journey Homestead. I'm Barbara. I'm in the tunnel today. Again, just trying to check stuff off of the to-do list. I am in Zone 7A in Tennessee. And so if you're in my zone, let me know that in the chat below. If you're not in my zone, you are still welcome because in this community, we just share all things gardening, homesteading, cooking from scratch, the whole 9 yards. And I really do see this as a community. Yes, I'm the one on the camera, but I get so much help and so much advice from all of you, and we all just kind of help each other. So today we're going to be fertilizing, but before we do that, I actually want to do a garden tour for the end of February. These are the last couple of days of February, and I thought it'd be cool for me to take you around and let you see what's growing in the tunnel and the progress that we've made, and then talk about what's going to be happening next. Okay, let's start with our seed starting table. And I can show you how the seedlings are doing. You can see that those are doing pretty well. They are ready to go on the ground. The majority of this right here where you see me kind of massaging the leaves, that is kale. We also have some oregano growing there. And then we have a few sprigs of dill that are there as well. And then this tray here is all of the scallions that we planted. I would say that over about half of this tray germinated. It's my first time growing scallions, but you can see that I think that they're ready to be put out. These soil block trays, the air pruning trays from Bootstrap Farmer, they are a little, well, like that one is coming up easily. That's good. You can see that there. But these over here are a little bit more moist. So I think I'm going to let these dry out. I'm not going to water them today, and then I'll plant them out tomorrow. This tray here are some more seedlings that should be ready to come out pretty soon. There's some collards. There's some celery I'm going to let go a little bit longer. There's some parsley here. You can see that that one there is looking quite nice. It's ready. You can see we got some roots there. And then these are our soil blocks. And again, most of this is broccoli and collards. Let me take you over here to the next seed starting table. We have a few left over right here that are ready to be put out. So we're making progress on seedlings, and all the seedlings I just showed you are more cool weather crops, so they can go ahead and go in the ground in the tunnel. So from a cool weather perspective, I'm not starting any more cool weather seedlings. So when I say cool weather, I mean things like kale, broccoli, cauliflower, spinach, things like that. I'm not starting. Now I am going to restart lettuce, and I will be doing that succession probably every couple of weeks. But other than lettuce, I'm not going to be doing any more cool season crops. I'm going to again put those out, and hopefully in 60 days they'll be ready to harvest something, and then really after that it'll be all about the summer vegetables. So the seeds that you're going to see me planting, I've already started some seeds last week. Were peppers, and then this week on the docket is the rest of the peppers and then tomatoes. So that's kind of how we're transitioning into the summer stuff, is by doing those seedlings that are more summer plants. So I'm pretty much done, again, like I said, with the cool weather stuff. So let me kind of take you around the raised beds and see what's in the ground of the high tunnel. And for those that are brand new to me, in terms of my growing space, I'm standing in my tunnel right now. It's a 30 by 96. We have 6 raised beds, and then we have 5, let's see, 1, 2, 3, yeah, 5 rows that are about 45 feet long of in-ground space. And then we have also some in-ground garden space that is behind me, that's around 20 by 100. So that's about 2,000 square foot of space. Right now outside we only have like a half a row of garlic, and that's it. We didn't do a whole lot of stuff in the fall. And I'm glad about that. The stuff that we did do, it didn't make it past the first frost. So we just have garlic in there that was left over. And then behind my house, we have 5 raised beds. And right now we have 2 of those that are planted with garlic that, of course, will be ready around June. And the garlic out there behind the house is doing fantastic. No issue. So today's video is all about what's growing in the tunnel. You saw the seedlings that we're doing and that are almost ready to be transplanted. So now let me take you and show you around the raised beds and what's growing in the ground. This first bed here is all of bok choy, and it's looking so good. Look at that, y'all. This whole bed is full of bok choy. It is growing nicely. I told you on another video that I got all of these, literally these starts for free from that farm workshop that I went to. And they were tiny little starts, and at first they looked like they weren't gonna make it, but now they are thriving. I really think it's because of the fertilization that I've been doing. So let's move over to this bed here, and what you see in the corners are snapdragons that are just being overwintered. Here's some Dusty Miller that's just being overwintered. And then in this bed is a lot of kale growing. And then on this side, I have some Swiss chard. And it seems to be picking up nicely. You can see that there, there, and there. And then all of this is kale that you can see growing there. So that's doing well. And then in this bed is, again, a whole lot more of bok choy. Now you may be saying, do you eat a lot of bok choy? Y'all, I just started eating bok choy this year. But over here are the carrots. You can see that are growing nicely. They just take a long time. And then here is just some baby kale that I sowed kind of close together that I can just harvest as baby kale. We kind of walk over here to this side of the raised beds. That is some lacinato kale, or dino kale, as they call it. That's more kale over there in the corner that's growing nicely. You can also see my pot of mint. It didn't do as well in that hard frost that we had over Christmas, but I took out all of the dead leaves, and you can see that it's growing back. There's more kale there that looks very good. I need to harvest that again. I just harvested like a couple of weeks ago. And then y'all, look at my spinach. This may not mean much to you, but this is the first time I have grown spinach and it's this big. The very first time. And let me see if I have what kind it is on here. I don't think I do. Nope, I didn't put the kind. I tried so many different kinds of spinach. That's another dino kale. We got some lettuce growing, and then there's more spinach. And then here's my eucalyptus. So overall, this bed is looking good. Let me take you over here. I have more spinach growing there. And there, I'm going to harvest that today. And then look at this beauty. That's more spinach. And I think this is the Leviwa, Levewa. And then I have lettuce in this bed growing. This is like a red crisp lettuce. Then here on this raised bed, you can see in the back is my cilantro that I grew from seed. And then this whole bed is lettuce. That one is coming up nicely. The rest of these are moving kind of slow, but that's okay. So that's doing good. So glad about that. Then here are my two circular raised beds. Look at my pansies, y'all. Is that not gorgeous? Oh, that's why I love having flowers in my garden. It makes me so happy. So you can see there's a purple, there's the yellow, and then there's some lettuce growing there. And then we walk across here to its cousin, and you have some other different kind of pansies growing here. I'm not that fond of those. They look okay, but I like the other ones better. And then that's my rosemary. I've cut it back where it has died. It may, I don't know if it's gonna grow back. Like, you see how that part pretty much died. There's still some green here, so maybe I'll cut that part off. It still smells amazing though. And that's oregano, and that's more eucalyptus. Y'all, look at my collard greens. They finally have gotten big. Finally. So I have 2 rows for the most part full that need to be harvested. I have some kale here that's growing back. I've harvested off this probably 3 or 4 times. I have Brussels sprouts for the first time. Look at those. Y'all, yay. I'm so excited. I got Brussels. Excited about my Brussels sprouts. That is the first time that I've been able to get Brussels sprouts that I can harvest. I'm so excited. That's more spinach. These are cabbage leaves. I don't know if it'll form a head or not. But then I have two cabbages left here. One there and one there. I had a total of 6 on this row. We harvested 4 and ate them, and they were very, very good. And then these are more collards. You see that there? And then back here is more cabbage, but they haven't formed a head. They're starting to. You can see how it's coming inward now. So that's cabbage, and that's cabbage. So y'all, as you can tell, I'm excited about my stuff. So I always want to bring this up in terms of when I say it's a journey, because it really is. So coming up this summer will be my 3rd summer gardening. So I am still a very new gardener. And the 2 things that I just showed you that were successful this year that have never been successful for me were spinach and Brussels sprouts. Spinach has never gotten that big. I had like little bitty leaves like this, and then it would die and just not grow anymore. I don't know what I was doing wrong, right? And then my Brussels sprouts never, like, they rotted. I got maybe a little bit and then they rotted. So I've never had spinach and Brussels sprouts that I could harvest until this fall growing season. So that's why I say it is a journey. Don't be discouraged. Don't give up because the first time you grow something, it didn't go well, right? Do you have to find out what works for your climate and your growing zone? Absolutely you do, right? But one time is not enough, right? You have to figure out what you're doing wrong, what needs to be done differently, and all of that. So one of the things that I'll say specifically on the Brussels sprouts, so when I did them before, I planted them too late. So Brussels sprouts have a long maturity date, 100 to 110 days. That's a long time. I started my seeds in July. So yes, in the middle of the summer, I started my seeds and then I transplanted them. I want to say, I don't remember. I should take better notes, but I want to say I transplanted them, I don't know, maybe mid-August or something like that. Now, I did have several that struggled and that did not make it because, of course, it's hot, it's humid in August and September, and so they got destroyed like by insect damage. So I needed to have done a better job with insect and pest management. But the ones that survived, you can see, are doing well. Also, I did end up buying some transplants as well to go along with my Brussels sprouts. But one of the keys is know that the Brussels sprouts, again, I'm in Tennessee in zone 7A. So if you're not in my zone, I'm not quite sure, but at least I can tell you this. Find out if Brussels sprouts grow in your zone, but know that they have a long maturity date, 110 days, right? So it's not one of those quick things that you're going to harvest in 60 days. So that's one thing that I did differently this time that I hadn't done before. Last time I want to say I might have planted them in like November or December, trying to start seeds. It just did not have a long enough period to get where it needed to be. If you think about it, 110 days is literally almost 4 months, right? Almost 4 months. So just think about it. If I did it in August, September, October, November, December, January, that's right around the 4 or 5 month mark. Versus if you start them in now, December, January, depending on your zone, you may not be able to harvest them because it may be entirely too hot by the time they're ready. So that's just one thing that I learned on the Brussels sprouts. The other thing that I did this time, and I actually just did it recently because I just found out about it, was I did some pruning. So I took off the lower leaves to provide more air circulation around the Brussels sprouts. I didn't do that before, right? So those are 2 things, simple things that I did differently this time, and that may be why I have a different result. What's my point? My point is this, is that you could be growing something and you could have good seed, you could have great soil and all of that, but it may be just a couple of things that you're missing for that particular plant that will cause it to thrive and not die, right? I never knew about the pruning. That is why I do a lot of research. That's why I watch other YouTubers just like me, right? And so as I have information, I will share it with you. So I'm very excited about my Brussels sprouts. The other thing is on the spinach. I did several different kinds of spinach. Before, I only planted the one kind, which was Bloomsdale. right? I can tell you the ones that are growing right now. I know they're not Bloomsdale because I know how those look. But I also did a spinach called Galilee, and I did one called Laviwa, Lavewa. I think those are the ones that are doing well, right? So again, it may just be a different type of seed that works better for you than somebody that you're watching on YouTube. So don't get married to just one seed unless you know it really, really works for you, right? And so again, I did a lot of different varieties of spinach this time, and now I have a spinach yield. Obviously, I am fertilizing more. I'm trying to pay attention to my soil health, all the things that I did not even know anything about the first year. The first year gardening, I literally put seeds in the ground. And you know what? They grew. I did not have as much yield and as much bounty as I've had this past summer, but they did grow. And so it doesn't matter if you're starting from zero or if you're 10 years in, seeds want to grow. The goal is as you continue to go on your journey of gardening and you continue to learn more, you learn how to get better yield, better results, lower pest disease, and all of that stuff. That is why I say it's a journey. It is not just a catchphrase, right? It is kind of cute though, right? Yeah, it is. Okay, but it's not just a catchphrase. It really is a journey. And again, I am so still new in my journey. I'm just taking you along on my first 3 years on what I've learned, what I'm doing. And I'm sure if we were to fast forward, 3 more years from now, I would be saying different things. Maybe not completely different, but of course I would have learned more as time goes on. And so that's why it's important as a community that we all share, pitch in, give tips because we're all at different stages. But I really want to encourage you to not give up, right? Don't give up if something didn't go well the first time. I'm living witness that if it doesn't go well, keep trying and you will eventually get it. Okay? So that's my little TED Talk, gardening TED Talk for today. So I hope you guys enjoyed that garden tour. I'm excited. It's the last week of February. So really, let's talk about what's going to go on from here. So everything that's in there now, obviously, we're going to harvest the stuff today that needs to be harvested and it'll keep growing. And so I plan to keep all of that stuff in there to at least like the end of April. And then by the end of April, I will be transitioning to all of the summer stuff in the tunnel. So tomatoes, peppers, we'll be putting those out. And so where those things may be taking up space, if I need the space, and they're going to have to come out because I know that collards are not going to make it in the heat of the summer, right? So my tomatoes and peppers will be ready for the tunnel by the end of April. So it's not going to make sense for me financially and ideally from a gardening perspective to keep my collards for another 30, 60 days because I want to eat more of them, which I do, and let my tomatoes and peppers suffer and not have as long of a growing season of the tomatoes and peppers. So we're going to try to get as much as we can in the next 60 days of all of these cool weather things. We're going to freeze it up. We're going to preserve it. And hopefully that will last us to the next fall growing season. But really we're in that transition phase, right? I'm going to put out the rest of the stuff that's cool season between now and the next few days. And we're not going to start any more seeds of that regard except lettuce, and then we'll give it its 60 days. That's its window of opportunity, and then we're really starting seeds that are for the summer. And then by the end of April, first part of May, we're going to be in heavy rotation, especially in the tunnel, taking those cool weather things out, getting ready for the summer. And then obviously in the in-ground garden bed, it'll be full on summer planting. So we got a lot to look forward to, a lot to still do, right? So we're by no stretch of the imagination slowing down. We're actually about to ramp up. So I would love to know what you guys have grown in your gardens. If you did a fall garden, I would love to know what you still have in your garden, what you're harvesting this week, this month, and kind of where are you on your plans as you kind of make the transition. But thank you guys so much for joining me on this brief garden tour of what's going on in the high tunnel in February. I'm excited about the next 60 days of what I get to harvest, and I'm even more excited about the stuff that I'm going to be starting that we can keep the food production going. Remember, y'all, this is all a journey. Let's grow together. I'll see you next time, friend.